All right, so I recorded a video when we had a meeting today that some of you missed, and for some reason that video didn't record like it ought to. And so I'm going to do another one. So here's the deal. What we're having to do is we're having to get away with these stacked courses in block hours. And we're having to schedule them pretty much like gen ed classes. Now, these hours and days are examples. You may be creative enough to come up with something that works similarly, and definitely the times and contact hours will need to change based on whatever the contact hours of your classes are. Now, let's bear in mind a couple of things here, and that's most of you should have hybrid classes. We challenge everybody to get their classes hybrid. I've been through a lot of the KMS standards, and just about everybody has stuff that's theory and hands-on, theory and hands-on, theory and hands-on. So with that being said, that definitely lends itself to the ability to be hybrid. If you do happen to have anything that's just 100% labs by the KMS standards, please share that with me, because that would be unique and all. But anyway, so assuming that all your classes are hybrid, we remember we say that with hybrid classes, that means part of it can be done off campus, part of it can be done on. So if your contact hours for your course is 120 hours, that means you need to spend 60 hours with that student on campus, and we say the other 60 can be done off campus. So these contact hours I'm looking at here are real contact hours, and so when you relate them to a course, you can double them, and we'll talk about that kind of as I go down the list. But the rules for this is pretty much when I say it's like gen ed classes. Obviously, with a gen ed class, an instructor can't teach more than one class at a time, can't be in two places at one time, and neither can the student, honestly. So what I've come up with is a couple of schedules, and the top schedule as examples. And again, these are not what you have to use. You can be creative. You can manipulate those times, which ultimately will manipulate the hours per week, which ultimately changes the contact hours. And you can relate those contact hours to the contact hours required by your courses. But bear in mind, if your courses are hybrid, then those contact hours only have to be half of those total hours. So let's talk about the first one. And if you look at this first schedule right here, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Monday and Wednesday, 10:01 a.m. to noon, 1 p.m. to 2:45, and 2:46 p.m. to 4:15. And we're not worried about that 1 minute. If it's within a minute of being 2 hours, it's 2 hours. So when you look at these hours per week, and we'll talk about that in just a moment, that's 2 hours a day times 2 times a week, Monday and Wednesday, that's 4. 10:01 to noon, 2 times a week, that's 2 hours a day times 2, that's 4. And you get the idea, and I'll let you work on the math all the way down here. So this is the hours per week that you would spend with that class as it is on paper. So if you look, a student could conceivably take Class A, Class B, Class C, and Class D with no time conflicts at all, because they are unique times on the same day. There is no overlap in these, and by adding that 1 minute, we get rid of any possibility of Banner having a time conflict. Now you see we've got an 8 a.m., a 10, a 1, and a 2:46 down here, but they're on Tuesday and Thursday. So by this schedule, every single class in here has a unique start and stop time on unique days that you have to work with. So that's one example of how your schedule could run. Now, if you look, that's 4 hours, 4 hours, 3.5, 3.5, 4, 4, 3.5, 3.5, and these can vary. You may have some that are as low as 2 or 3. I know some of you have some classes that are only 30 contact hours, which means half of that's 15, which means that class would only have to be scheduled an hour and a half. The question is, do you have 2 of those? I don't know. You would, I wouldn't. But you can vary these times to whatever you like. But just remember, your total hours per week can't exceed 30. So you can't make yourself have over 30 hours per week for classes. So how do I get these contact hours? Well, 4 hours a week times 10 weeks is 40. And run down the same list, pretty easy math with it being 10 weeks. So this is for summer. Now, some of you have, like for instance, welding and HVAC, and probably some of you others have contact hours that are 90. Well, even cut into half, this would not allow a hybrid or a blended is what the term is, and you'll see that about those codes in just a moment that we need to use in our summer schedules. You'll see that in the email, which is not here yet. I haven't finished typing the email when I realized I needed to remake this video. So we came up with a plan B for you guys like that. So here is, now remember, we can't have more than 8 preps. So class A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H takes us down to 8 preps. But if you need to, you may have to go down to 6 classes that you offer uniquely. And if you look, it's pretty much the same thing with different start and end times. And we do a Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday there. If you have something that's particularly large, you may have to do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and take out, a second offering on, that would take out a second offering. You would only be doing 1:30 to 4:30, say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That would double this amount of time right here. So it's just going to kind of depend on your needs and all that as to how you do this schedule. But if you take a look, this is 2 hours and 15 minutes, which adds up to 4.5 hours, going 8 to 10:15, and again 10:16 to 12:30, 1:30 to 4:30, and we just flip it and do Tuesday, Thursday on the bottom. Don't have it here, but if you add all those up, 4.5 is 9 plus 6 is 15. Add that again, that's 30 hours. I cropped it when I put the little thing in here. That still works within the 30, but this allows a 90 contact hour class to be taught under these 45 hours, because half of 90 is 45. These 60s would allow 120. And again, these numbers can be manipulated how you want. So a couple of things here that you need to realize as you're doing this and as we're recreating these, and this will be in the email about, well, no, this part won't. Since these are the amount of contact hours are getting very close to the amount of contact hours that we need to have the students, we will no longer be able to bundle this with a gen ed class. So let's say that, for instance, we got this class running 8 a.m. to 10:15. It is 90 contact hours. We need every bit of that 45. So if we have a gen ed class that starts at 10 that we have the student in, they're either not going to have to take this class or not take that gen ed class, or find a different gen ed class that they can take, because there is just simply enough time. So the nice thing about this is it rids time conflicts for us, and then all we got to make sure of is that there is no time conflicts with gen ed classes. The other side of this that I also want to point out is, if you do have online classes, don't have to worry about that at all. Online is online. It's at the leisure of the student. So if you had them in 2 online classes and put them in some more of these, if you have online courses, that's fine. Online doesn't count at all. So there you go. There's as much information as I have for you. And if you have questions, feel free to let me know.